Hey, welcome to Integrated Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. Welcome to all the new people and all the old people back. I want to talk about the dirtbags that live among us. Uh, the latest little dirtbag that ran over those people up in Waukesha. Thank you for the commenters that told me how to pronounce that. Is simply the latest in a long line of useless, worthless scum that live among us, that prey on the good people, um, who suck the resources out of our society, who become the elevated martyrs of certain aspects of our society. Um, he's just the latest. I'm waiting right now to hear how he was trying to turn his life around, maybe in a hurry to deliver cookies to his grandmother, or maybe hurrying to get his college application in because he was trying to better himself. Isn't this always the way? Every one of these things that happens, uh, it's based. This will be turned around in some way. We're waiting for another verdict coming out here too, aren't we? And you all know the one that I'm talking about. But whether this is actually turned around or whether it's just buried, it won't be covered the way that it should be, and we all know that. I know that this one probably should go over on American Reversion because it has more to do with that than it does with preparedness, and I'm going to start putting more of this stuff over there. However, the question about what we do to prepare ourselves feeds into this, and so I'll get to that. I just made a video that I put over on Patreon uh, that will probably stay over on Patreon about street justice, and it's about how we used to do things in the old days. You know, we had dirtbags back then, but we took care of them. We approached the problem in a different way than is approached today. We dealt with the problem, and we had our ways to do it. And as a result, we didn't have the kind of junk that's going on in our society today. Yeah, we had bad guys that would go out and try to do things, but you know what? It was addressed, and it was addressed in a way that it didn't happen again. And I'm not going to go into some of the ways it was addressed, but I go into it a little bit over on Patreon. A lot of you old coppers out there and the old guys, you remember those days, and you know how we handled things, and you know that we handled things so that the same people didn't keep doing crap. And this idiot, this Daryl Brooks, that ran over all these people, he's got a rap sheet a mile long, and he was still out on probation. Our country has fallen apart to the point where it celebrates and elevates the scum, and it puts them back out there to victimize the people who are just trying to go about their lives, contributing to society, raising families, playing in a band, doing all those things that us hokey people think of as being American. Well, that's no longer the America we live in. You see that out in Portland, a bunch of commie idiots are screaming, say his name about that serial child molester that attacked Rittenhouse and that he killed. Hey, guess what? No more problems out of that guy, right? But he is the martyr of the new left. Say his name. Where have we heard that before? Do we hear anybody calling for say her name about Ashley Babbitt? Do you remember her? Do we remember who killed her? Okay. Think back over the years about all these things. all these morons who were elevated and started. They were the flashpoints of riots and so-called social justice all over our country, resulting in lost lives, lost property, the burning of cities. Hands up, don't shoot, right? And still, most people don't realize that that was a big lie. People killed on a lie. Who are these people who are directing this? Who are these people who are directing the misinformation of what happens in our society so as to create the chaos that we're dealing with. Well, we know who they are. It's the media, it's parts of our government, it's the communist left, well, the communists, who have taken over more of this country than most people realize or will admit. I've covered, I think it was over on Patreon, I might have done it here a little bit. I read the goals of the Communist Party, and they are succeeding in every one, and this is what's happening. If we don't take out the trash, if we don't do a major house cleaning in this country, if we don't start applying justice the way that justice should be applied, it's going to get worse. It's going to get so bad that there will be no alternative than maximal response. I said in the one I put over there on Patreon, I mentioned the old saying about justice delayed is justice denied. That really applies to the victims, but it has to do with if justice is not applied immediately and appropriately and effectively to the extent that it has to be, it simply rewards the person who was guilty of the behavior, and it encourages them to do it again. So because we are not applying justice in this country, because justice has flown out the window, I've said for years and years and years, clear back when I was on the job, I explained to people, our legal system has to do more with legalities than it does with justice. It does not serve justice. Much of the justice that you'll see happening on the street. Sad to say, but that's just the way it is. We need to start responding to these things energetically, directly, and to the extent that is necessary. And where we have to start, well, we have to start coming back at people and explaining to people, and as direct and as with the volume and the energy that it takes, that we've had it with this kind of crap in our country, and that anybody who excuses it essentially supports it. People have to stop excusing this stuff. People have to stop allowing it to be swept under the rug by our media and by our politicians and by the person in the next cubicle at work. And you have to stand up and start calling wrong, wrong. And you have to start calling evil, evil. And it's going to come down to it. It's a good versus evil. It's a black and white, and I don't mean that racially. It is a difference between what's right and what is wrong, and people need to stand up for what is right and stop mollycoddling these animals that perpetrate violence and death on our society, on our children, and on our fellow citizens. And it's time to do it. And then it is time also to prepare yourself and make sure that you are mentally prepared as well as physically prepared to handle any threat that comes against you. Because when you take out a threat that comes against you, that threat will not be a threat to anyone in the future. Right? Okay. I think that's it for now, but I think a couple of things here. We may be seeing some more rioting here, depending on what happens in this verdict that's being reviewed right now, and you know the one I'm talking about. And if it does, people can't just sit back and say, "Oh well, it's understandable." No, it's good. People got to stand up, and people got to get off their butts and start being a little more energetic and effective in their response. Okay, I'll leave it at that. I know you all will have a lot to say about this. I know I look forward to reading your comments about this, and your comments lately have been so good, so intelligent, and you're saying exactly what needs to be said, and you're keeping it within the framework that does not jeopardize our ability to keep on saying it, and for that I thank you very much. If you want to see what I said over on Patreon, the link's always down there if you're not already a member, If you're not, we'd love to have you because we do stuff over there we don't do on YouTube. I think that's it. I'll let you go. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. Preparation means, what if you were in a crowd and a car started coming through like that, mowing people down? Would you be prepared to stop that threat? You need to be. What if you're in a store Christmas shopping and a bunch of bozos start coming in and ripping it off like they did wherever it was they did? 80 people going in with crowbars and going into and just taking everything out of a store. Are you ready to deal with that? And if you're not, why not? And if you're not, you'd better get ready. Okay. Y'all have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.